Welcome to Books and Things. And got a good show for you tonight, as usual, I hope. And you're probably familiar with the Times newspapers. This is the Stonington Times. It's also the Groton Times, the Mystic Times, and Times everywhere. Thank God for these papers because they keep the postman working. And it's not costing us anything, so when you get it in the mail, read it. Get some good stories in there. And tonight, we've got the editor, and his name is Lee, and he is going to inform you about some great ideas and changes that's coming.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I had called you, and I said, I hope he's ready, hope he's available. And because I did read the article that said that you were making changes, right, and you're going to have some more people write in, and you're going to tell us how to do it. And so that's basically what we're going to talk about.
Great. All right. Well, yeah, we have an exciting lineup of things that we've been trying to do. We've added a bunch of features, a bunch of new columns. One of the first things I did was I added a teen column, so a teen talk column. So I have, I think, a 15-year-old young lady from Ledyard who's been writing teen columns for almost, over a year now, I believe. And so that was fun. And we added a bunch of other columns. We have a smarter driving column, and we have an out and about piece that has been sort of handed off to different people, but it's sort of the idea is, take one place that people like to go to, like Abbott's Lobster or something, go do your thing and, tell us what it's all about. So, and lately I've been trying to really add more features where people can contribute. So one of the first things we tried was a column called Kindness in Real Life, because my feeling was there's not a lot of kindness on network TV that you're seeing a lot of lately, but I know it's out there and I know it prevails, but we just don't recognize it sometimes. So I really wanted to honor people that were doing beautiful things for their community.
That's a good idea. There's a couple of commercials out there. One is I think it's a Toyota commercial, and it shows this woman bends over, she gets up, bangs her head on an open file drawer, and another guy drops his papers all over the road. And this guy in the Toyota drives up, and of course he's got automatic braking, which is this thing of the story. And he sits there with kind of disgusted look in his face, and this poor guy's trying to gather his papers up. Finally, the guy stands up, and the guy just drives right across all his papers.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And I thought, how rude!
I haven't seen that one.
It's awful.
Glad I haven't. Yeah.
There's
a lot of weird ones out there. They're just trying to grab your attention.
And that's what you say. Be nice, and you got to be nice. It's easier to be nice than it is grumpy.
Right. Yeah, so we've had beautiful stories. There's one that I just edited that two middle school kids from, I believe it was East Lyme, just got together and they were helping this kid that had a sort of a rare disease, and they were raising money over at Crown Pizza in East Lyme. Cool. And so, it was like the guy from Crown Pizza sent me this little thing, hey, can we get something in the paper? And I said, well, I don't want to just like put a 2-inch thing in the paper. I want to do something, and so he had some of the middle school kids send me a little note on what they were trying to do, and and I got a picture of the little girl who has the problem that they're trying to help with, and I think it's going to be a dynamite story once we get it in the paper.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of those things, a lot of little fundraiser things.
He's been national too.
Yes, yeah. I helped him with that, by the way.
Oh, really?
I wrote that story.
Yeah,
I know. I still try to keep my hand in some writing too. Yeah. So, and I used to be a business reporter for the day, so that's kind of one of my loves, is to try to keep up with the business community, some of the good things they're doing out there.
Well, as I told you before, I enjoy your business things that you have usually on front cover, and I steal them. I don't steal the stories, but I steal the customers.
That's fine.
And one of the guys is going to be on next week, and then I've got another one too that I'm working on. And the same with the Resident. The Resident has Frankie Justin Lamprey on their cover.
Sure.
And I'm having him on in August. But I've had him on there since he was 14. He just turned 19. I have him on here every year, so it's my guy anyway.
Right. That's good.
But yeah, because you have to find your people someplace.
Yeah.
They don't just the material out of it. They have.
But I think people haven't really realized that the Times weekly newspapers that I'm running right now has for the last year really tried to encourage a lot of submissions. So I actually get like mothers of kids that are doing kind of cool stuff, and they'll send me a little note saying, like, this is a really cool thing, but I know that I'm their mom and I'm probably biased. And I go, no, I mean, this is great, send me more stuff. So I think we've started a bunch of things. Friends and Neighbors is one of our latest things. So people that are involved in transitions, the one we have running next week is Mary Jane McLaughlin, who used to work for the Day as Chief of Staff. She just became Chief of Staff at Mitchell College. So the college sent me a little, thing, and so we did a little press release with her photo in there. And, so that kind of thing, people making transitions, people retiring maybe. I mean, I think retirement doesn't get enough notice.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
So you're becoming more of a real community paper.
Yes, yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, I thought, we were running a lot of retreads from the Day, and they have a lot of great stories, but I thought a lot of it just kind of looked like filler, and we were jumping stories 2 or 3 pages, and I'm like, how many people want to read a story that continues on 3 or 4 different pages?
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to try to develop more like little snippets of content that really focus on cool stuff that people in the community are doing.
And your paper's free.
It's free, that's right. We mail it to everyone. I think our circulation is something around 80,000, which people don't realize. And we go to everybody in each of our communities. Not everybody, but if you have a post office box, we won't send it to a post office box, but we do send it to every mailing address that wants us to send it to them. So.
Yeah. No, it's a great paper, and I really enjoy it. And you have the ads in there. And I like to go through it because there are little stories here and there that you pick up.
Right.
And I'm new sound anyway.
Yeah, and a lot of people that have just moved into town say, hey, it's a great resource for them because now they're starting to know some of the people in town that are doing things. And so when they see them on the street, there's a little recognition now that people have done something.
Now, you've been with the Day for how long?
I actually started in 1979. I did leave for about a year and a half early on in my career, but I've been there like 35 years consecutively at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, a little bit longer than that.
And you've done a little of everything.
A little of everything. I wrote a tennis column for 25 years. Big tennis player in the area, so I really enjoyed doing that. I interviewed some of the best tennis players in the world: Andre Agassi, Martina Navratilova. Pretty much, you name a sports or a tennis hero from the 80s to the 2000s, and I probably interviewed them at some point or another. So.
Oh, that's cool.
I used to go up to the Hall of Fame in Newport and cover that tournament. I covered the tournament down in New Haven. I'm not a sports writer. Everybody thought I was a sports writer because that was kind of what I was known for. Back then, I was, I was a region editor. I was page 1 editor. Then I was Sunday editor at the Day for 12 years. So I did a lot of editing, which is,
But you were a tennis player.
Tennis player, yeah.
You know all about tennis.
Know a lot about tennis, yeah.
You don't have to be a sports writer.
Yeah, don't have to be a sports writer, that's right. That was fun.
I wouldn't know anything. You hit the ball back and forth.
Yeah. I'm in my 60s now, so tennis ain't as easy as it used to be, but it's still fun, and I'm still doing it right.
Unfortunately, your body decides what you do.
Right. Yeah.
Your mind says, I'm ready. The body goes, I don't think so.
Yeah. I was playing some singles in the leagues up until last year, and this year I kind of said, well, we got some good young talent, so I said, let them go. I'm gonna get to doubles. So.
Yeah, but you're still playing, so that's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, now you have how many Times papers?
We have 8 papers right now.
8.
So we have the Lyme Times, which covers Lyme, Old Lyme, East Lyme, and Salem. So some of our papers cover multiple towns. But like Montville Times just covers Montville, Waterford Times just covers Waterford, New London Times just covers Waterford. Then we have the Thames River Times, which covers Preston and Ledyard. And Groton Times, Mystic Times, and Stonington Times covers Stonington and North Stonington. So pretty good spread.
No, I really do enjoy it. Every time I get it, I sit and read it through and try to pick up who I can.
The thing about the Times papers is they're really local. Like, we actually select each calendar item to say, okay, is this in the town or in like a contiguous town?
Yeah.
And if it's not, we'll probably take it out. So we're really trying to target. We're not trying to replicate what the Day does. We're trying to be very hyper-local, hyper-focused on what's going on in those particular towns.
I think that's unbelievable. Now, do you have reporters?
So we don't really have reporters at our beck and call. I actually started the Times papers about 15 years ago, and back then we actually had one reporter for each edition. Over the years, journalism got a little harder to do successfully to make tons of money, so we had to make some cuts. So right now, it's basically me and a designer, Elise Rugans, and then my assistant editor, Amanda Hutchinson. So it's really a three-person operation.
Wow.
So 3 people put out 8 papers covering 80,000 people. So
Oh my God.
it's kind of a crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
But we have town reporters, and usually with the aid of the city editor, or sometimes I'll go directly to the reporter and I'll say, hey, this is a really good town story. Could you write this story? And 90% of the time they do. Sometimes they're too busy with other stuff, in which case either I'll write it or Amanda will write it, or we just won't be able to do
Now
that
you
particular
can
story.
Send you stories.
Oh yeah, yeah. We I think when I first took over the Times, we were like recreating a lot of things in the day. Right now I'm trying to get much more original content. So I added a Let's Go feature, which is kind of like one thing that would be really fun to do that might actually be outside the area, like things in Madison or up in Westerly or Watch Hill or something. So we do that. We have all sorts of things as far as we're trying to get more into high school coverage, and actually I've got a woman who just became the new journalism instructor at Waterford High School, and she is going to be coordinating with me to try to get her kids at Waterford High School writing directly for the paper.
Cool.
We're still having discussions on how that's going to work, and she's never taught journalism before, so I'm going to go into the school. I'm going to hopefully teach a little bit of journalism, the who, what, when, why, how, and how, and how to write a lead and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully they'll take some pictures. But the idea is to get them covering like things that are going on in the schools, sports events. It's hard for us in the weekly paper because the events, by the time we can get it in the paper, are sometimes a week and a half, 2 weeks old. So it's really hard for us to be a real newspaper, getting news out quickly. So we tend to focus more on features, which are kind of timeless stories on people. So Mike Burrows, for instance, in Waterford is a great pitcher, was just drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we have a little story on him in the Waterford Times coming up this week.
Now, who goes out and gets stories like this?
So that actually was Amanda wrote the Stonington Times story here on the Zambian exchange students. And she tries to write as often as she can. A lot of her stuff actually ends up in the Day first and then gets republished in the Times papers.
Well, I'm thinking about the Capizano oils. I don't remember who wrote that one.
Right, I can't remember either. It could have been Joe Wojcik. He covers Stonington for us. So, I'll take a lot of stories from the Day and then we'll republish them. The thought being that, maybe half of the people have already seen it in the Day, or at least gotten it in the Day. A lot of people don't get a chance, necessarily to read cover to cover the daily paper. So we highlight the local stories.
Well, it's funny because you look for advertising. I can't advertise, so I have to find something that's odd about the business.
Right.
And like with this oil thing, he fills jars from a vat.
Yeah.
I go, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so it's different.
Yeah,
so,
it is. Well, you're looking for stories that people are going to be talking about over their morning coffee or whatever.
I had a bee collector here. Not a bee collector, but beehives.
Okay.
He brought a hive in with him, all wooden box now.
Yeah, Ledyard High School. We just had a story on Ledyard High School has a new beehive program in their schools. So.
And I think that's cool. Speaking of bees, the Giant Neck Park?
Giant's Neck, I think so. Or Rocky Neck.
Giant.
Rocky Neck is a state park. Giant's Neck is a beach next to Rocky.
All right, because they've got tons of trees down.
Oh, do they?
Oh, yeah, from the storm.
Oh, okay.
Hundreds.
Is that right?
And it's 1,400 acre park.
Oh my gosh.
And they once they get it all cleared out, they're going to clear out the land, they're going to plant grass. And then after the grass is growing, they're going to put in flowers for the bees.
Oh, no kidding.
So they can pollinate in all over the place.
Yeah. We need bees, for sure.
Yeah.
So on another aspect, another thing I've been trying to do is to do podcasts. So we started a recorded history podcast recently through the Day, and so I bring in the town historians, so Jim Streeter, the city historian, and
Yeah.
Groton was one of my first guests, and I brought in the New London historian Sally Ryan, and we've got people that have written books. Gail MacDonald wrote a book about Morton Plant, so a lot of local history things, and you can find that on theday.com/podcasts. I've also set up a Facebook page that has all the podcasts in one place.
I gotta find that. I gotta figure out how to get on there. Jeez, technical stuff is really getting to me, and I love technical, but not anymore.
Right. Well, it's hard to keep up with it all, but the day has really gone. Yeah, the day has really gone big into podcasting.
Yeah.
We've started a couple cold case kind of
Yeah,
podcasts
those
that have been
are cool.
very popular. Yeah.
And I remember both those cases, especially Spicer.
Yeah. Spicer was.
And I was scared to get on there.
That came out of nowhere because he was such a well-known character
Yeah,
in town.
nice guy and everything. He's dead.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. But I think, I think by talking about these papers and getting people to understand how much work goes into them, and we need them so the postman can have something to deliver. Today I went in my box. That was the only thing that was in my box.
Yeah. There you go.
And I said, he'd lose money if it weren't for me. The perfect paper.
Well, we do, I've been reaching out to the community to try to get people to understand how the press release aspect of our paper works. I think a lot of people, send it a week ahead of time thinking we're going to be able to get it in the paper, but we're a weekly paper that is actually printed in Providence. So it takes quite a few days for us to go through the process of editing stories, laying out the paper, and then having it printed. So we really need press releases at least 2 weeks ahead of time. And that's a really good policy anyway, because like the Day's Night and Day section, which is sort of their weekend coverage section, they also need things 2 weeks ahead of time. So if you're someone out there in the community wanting to get your information in the paper, a really good rule of thumb is get it in, as early as possible, at least 2 weeks ahead of time. Actually, if it's a Wednesday event, it might be 2 weeks and 1 day ahead of time for us. So really, and also attach photos. I think a lot of people don't realize we run a ton of photos in the Times, and we love to have photos from people. So please, feel free to send them. My philosophy is that we can't be everywhere. We used to have a staff of 80 or 85 at the Day. It's still substantial, but it's not anywhere near that at this point. So we can't be everywhere like we were in the past, but we can definitely use the help to get out the word on what's going on.
The other thing that uses the New London Day all the time is the patch.
Yeah.
You read that, and I just read that in the Day yesterday.
Yeah, and Google News as well. They always have our stuff on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
an app. I saw an app the other day that I didn't download, but it had one of my stories from the Times on it on this app, and I'm going like, how are they doing that? They're kind of stealing our stuff. So it's very weird.
I think Kappa puts an article in every month.
Oh, really?
Advertising our meetings.
The meetings, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
and she says it's got to be in 3 weeks ahead of time.
Okay, that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. A lot of people, by the way, do call the press releases advertisements. Advertisements is something you pay for. So with the press releases, we don't, you don't need to pay for it. So
I just paid for a memorial.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Those are not cheap.
I'm sure we would take ads too, but it's not necessary for nonprofits.
Well, I figured over 24 years, I paid $2,400.
There you go. Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everybody sees it, and that's what it's for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
I think when it comes to press releases too, one thing people need to understand when it comes to the Day is that you really need to find the right person to send your press release to. So, if you're sending me a press release, that needs to get in 3 days from now, I'm not the right person to do that. I'm working on the weekly papers. And conversely, if you're sending, the city editor something that you want in the Times, it's not in the right place. So I do want to emphasize I have a press release packet that I would love to send people. I got well over a dozen inquiries the last time I wrote about this in the Times, where if you're, if you're representing a nonprofit in this area and you want to get a hold of me, and ask for this press release package, it has all the information on the right people to go to and all the deadlines for each of the papers.
Oh, that's cool.
Both the Day and the Times. So you can write to me at l.howard@theday.com, and I'd be happy to send you a packet. And if you want to talk about anything, I believe it's the number's on the screen, but it's 860-701-4356. So love to hear you. I'm always, 3 or 4 or 5 times a day I'm talking with people about stuff that's going on, and it's amazing, as great as a press release is, it's 10 times better to hear from people because, if they have an idea particularly, it may be a great idea in their head, but it may not be practical for what I'm trying to do. So when I talk to them, I can say, like I got a email from somebody who wanted to write a little something about Gillette Castle the other day, and I sent him back a note saying, look, this looks great, but I'm not quite sure what you want done with this. And he said, I just want to write about great places to visit in the area. I said, okay, maybe you can start writing for me, but I didn't know that.
Matter of fact, I've got a guy coming on in a couple of weeks that has written 2 mystery books considered Gillette Castle, William Gillette.
Very good.
And that's another good question. The Day didn't used to, I don't think they still do book reports on non-published.
Right. We do not, the Day, I should say,
self-published books.
The Day does not do anything on self-published books. That's been a policy for years and years.
Yeah.
That's the Day's policy. My policy is different. I really wouldn't have time to write a book review or something like that, but I could definitely write a little snippet with your photo.
Well, and the reason I ask is because I have a lot of authors on here, and I write up a little thing for them. And I was thinking, if that's possible, I'd like to mail in, because some of these books are really good.
I know. It's definitely worth people knowing about it. And even though it's self-published, a lot of the stuff has historical resonance in this area.
Well, you know why self-published, everybody's against it.
Right.
It doesn't get edited.
Okay.
And it's garbage.
Yeah.
There is a lot of garbage out there.
It can
but
be.
Today's self-published author are paying good money, have edited and book reviews and designs and everything else. And they put a lot of money into that little paper book.
Sure.
And
self-edited books aren't what they used to be. It used to be kind of like, hey, you couldn't get it published anywhere, so you're self-published. That's not true anymore.
My first one, I had probably 6 people edit it.
Okay.
And then this lady said, you got a lot of errors in your book. I said, the book's been out like 6 years. So I said, well, find them. And she brought it back to like 25, 30 little high typos. Nothing big.
Sure.
And I said, I can't believe it. Now, at least people looked at it, and there's still stuff in there.
I see that in major publishing houses, too, by the way. It's not just...
Patterson, I've seen a couple of those.
Oh, I know.
So it's not, we have to learn how to skip over them, forget them.
Right.
And, that's a good thing to know, because I'll send you some.
Sure.
And there was this girl that just wrote a book over in New London, all about wine and flowers and poisonous stuff.
Yeah.
I said, how do you know this stuff? She said, I used to study flowers. I said, well, stay away from me. Don't study any flowers.
Right. Allergic.
Yeah. But that's good to know.
Yeah.
So basically, if somebody sees something that's
I give an example, like, if you see a bobcat in your backyard and you've taken a photo,
send it in.
Send it in. I'd love to see it, We can't be everywhere. I've heard of a few sightings in the Waterford area where I live, and it's a little scary, but, we'd love to see it, We can't be everywhere.
No, you can't, but we can.
Yes.
Because we are.
But I've got a guy that writes a column for the Mystic Times called Remembrance of Things Past, and it's basically he's talking about his growing up in the 50s and 60s, and his memory is amazing. I mean, his memory for detail is just incredible. So Robert Welt is his name, and and I've been reaching out. I've been going to libraries. So I've had a couple meetings at the Groton Public Library, a couple meetings at the New London Public Library, and I also spoke to a group of nonprofit folks from the Old Lyme area. So people are always asking me to come in and talk about things, and it's great because we've actually gotten, well, even at the meeting that I went to your group, we got like 2 or 3 columnists out of that.
Yeah.
We got a personal connections columnist, Jill Whitney, who lives in Old Lyme.
Yeah.
She's a therapist, and she writes very, very interesting
She'll
columns.
be my guest speaker in a couple of months.
Right. Yeah. And Sue Menhart, for a while, was doing an out and about column for me.
She was at a meeting. I never met her, and she's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been really cool making those kind of connections in the community, and
and that's why we had you there, because we're anxious to learn.
Right.
You know, that's what the group is all about, is learning how to write and learning what to do.
Right.
And it's very important, and we are 50 strong.
Yeah.
Down here.
It's a great group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they write about everything. And read some of these books, you go, I didn't know you knew that.
Right.
So you got a couple of minutes left, and I was trying to see if we covered just about everything.
I would say when it comes to press releases, don't just leave it to chance that I got a press release or anybody got a press release. Do find the right person for whatever you're doing. We have business briefs that go to a certain address, businessbriefs@theday.com. And we have, I do the things that I do, and then we have a city editor that does things. So do find the right person, and then follow up with a phone call. Really call me up and say, hey, did you get that? And I'll go, this is about history. Maybe you could be on my history podcast. So, there's a lot of connections you can make based on just following up with a phone call. So
cool.
It's never a bad thing.
What, run right through and out again. Sure. Something you're saying that, like I said, don't throw the paper away, read it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there.
A lot of good stuff in there, and a lot of good ads. We gotta support the sponsors, because boy, these people only make money by you buying something from them.
Yep.
They don't sit there and make money by advertising.
Well, that's how we stay in business. But yeah,
I used to do that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And keep the mailman delivering.
Yeah. Well, we like that. We want to get a really wide range of material in the paper. I think one of the things I've identified that we really want to do this year is to get into the high schools more. So if you're a high school teacher out there, whether you teach journalism or English or whatever, and you have some kids that are interested in writing, think about calling me and saying, hey, is there anything this kid could do for you, because a lot of school papers have cut back on newspapers.
Oh yeah.
Even where I teach over at Mitchell College. They used to have a school newspaper, and they haven't had one in quite a few years now. So I'm hoping to get that going.
Losing so much.
I know. Everybody thinks that you can do everything in a Twitter, feed or whatever, or a Facebook message, but there's something about reading something in depth and getting all the information.
People on Facebook don't know how to spell it.
Well, quite a few. That's true.
Thank you, Lee, for being my guest. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Tom.
And we'll be in touch. Capizano's cooking oil will be next week. And I also booked Santa Claus because he's running at the end of his vacation and heading back to the North Pole. So he'll be here in July. August, we got Connie Bambachi. He's going to tell us about a deaf dog. Deaf dogs used to be put to sleep. And she has taught her dog over 70 American Sign Language things, and the dog responds. So that's going to be a very interesting one. Jim Bennett's going to be back with another story about William Gillette. Frankie Justin Lamprey, who's been here for the last 5 years, is going to be in August. Frankie plays the guitar, sings the songs, and writes his music. He's a tremendous kid. Tomorrow night is the Park Deck VFW Fish Fry, and from 3 to 7. They also have takeout orders. And I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Tell everybody that we're still on the air. And you should be reading newspapers and books. And cuddle up with a good book at night. And be kind and smile. I'll see you next time. Thanks again.
Thank you, Tom. That was fun.
Yeah.